far beyond the noisy cities, beyond the crowded roads and busy markets, there existed a quiet little village hidden between rolling green hills and silver rivers. The village was called Eldarin. It was a peaceful place where mornings smelled like fresh bread, afternoons echoed with children's laughter, and nights sparkled with thousands of stars. In the smallest cottage at the edge of the village lived a boy named Arun. Arun was unlike the other children. While the others loved racing through fields or climbing mango trees, Arun loved listening. He listened to the wind moving through leaves. He listened to rain tapping on rooftops. He listened to rivers whispering against stones. And every single night, he listened to the moon. The villagers often laughed kindly at him. "That boy dreams too much," they would say. But Arun's grandmother never laughed. She believed him. "You have the heart of a seeker," she always told him while stirring soup over the fire. "The world reveals secrets only to those who truly pay attention." Arun loved those words. Every evening after dinner, he climbed onto the roof of their cottage and stared at the sky for hours. The moon fascinated him the most. Sometimes it looked like a silver boat sailing through clouds. Sometimes it looked like a giant glowing pearl. Sometimes it looked lonely. One cold winter night, while the village slept beneath thick blankets, Arun sat near his window, watching the full moon. The sky was unusually bright. The moonlight pouring into his room looked almost alive. Suddenly, a thin beam of silver light floated through the window and landed softly inside an empty glass jar sitting on the table. The jar began glowing. Arun froze. Tiny silver sparkles danced inside the jar like floating stars. His heartbeat quickened. Slowly, carefully, he picked up the jar. It felt warm. Not hot, like fire. Soft warm, like holding sunlight during winter. The silver light swirled gently inside. Arun whispered, "Moonlight." He quickly placed the lid on top. The glow remained trapped inside. His eyes widened with amazement. The moonlight had entered the jar. That night, Arun barely slept. The next evening, he decided to test something. He placed 3 empty jars outside his window before the moon rose. Then he waited. Hours passed. The village became silent. Owls hooted softly from distant trees. Then slowly, silver threads of moonlight floated down from the sky. One by one, they slipped into the jars. By midnight, all 3 jars glowed brightly. Arun laughed with excitement. "It's real!" For weeks, he continued collecting moonlight. Every full moon filled his room with silver magic. Soon, dozens of glowing jars lined his shelves. Some moonlight looked pale blue, some shimmered white like snow. Some sparkled like diamonds underwater. And strangely, each jar felt different. One made him feel peaceful. Another made him feel brave. One even made sad memories disappear. Arun kept his secret hidden from everyone except his grandmother. When he finally showed her the jars, she stared silently for a long moment. Then she smiled gently. "I knew the moon had chosen you." "Chosen me?" She nodded. "There are old stories about moonkeepers." Moonkeepers? Children who could gather pieces of moonlight and use them to heal darkness. Arun listened carefully. His grandmother lowered her voice, but the stories also warn about the Shadow Hollow. At those words, even the fire seemed to dim. Every child in Eldarin feared Shadow Hollow. It was a giant forest beyond the hills. No sunlight entered it. No birds lived there. Travelers avoided it completely. People said darkness itself lived inside. Arun had always thought it was just a story, but now he wasn't so sure. One evening, while Arun walked through the marketplace, he noticed something strange. The village flowers were dying. Their colors had faded. The air felt colder than usual. Even the sky looked dimmer. The village baker whispered nervously, "The darkness is spreading again." That night, a violent storm crashed over Eldarin. Thunder shook the ground. Rain slammed against rooftops. The wind screamed through the village like a wild beast. Suddenly, crash! The great lantern tower in the center of the village collapsed. Every light went out. Darkness swallowed everything. Children cried. Villagers stumbled through muddy streets. Fear spread quickly. Aaron looked at his glowing moonlight jars. Then he remembered his grandmother's stories. Without hesitation, he grabbed a basket and filled it with moonlight. "Where are you going?" his grandmother asked worriedly. "To help." Arun stepped into the storm. Rain soaked his clothes instantly. The wind nearly knocked him over, but he kept going. At every street corner, he placed a moonlight jar. Soft silver light spread through the darkness. The terrified villagers gasped as glowing paths appeared before them. One by one, windows opened. Faces filled with wonder stared at the silver glow. "It's beautiful. The darkness is fading. Where did this light come from?" Arun continued through the village until every street shimmered with moonlight. The storm still raged overhead, but the fear was gone. For the first time in hours, people smiled again. The village chief approached him slowly. "Arun, did you create this?" Arun nodded nervously. The villagers stared at him in amazement. That night changed everything. From then onward, the villagers called him the Moonlight Boy. But far away, deep within Shadow Hollow, something ancient awakened. Something that hated light, especially moonlight. A week later, Aaron noticed strange things happening around the village. Shadows moved when nobody was nearby. Cold whispers echoed at night. Animals disappeared from farms. And every morning, the darkness at the edge of Shadow Hollow crept closer. Then one night, Aaron heard tapping at his window. Tap, tap, tap. He opened the curtain carefully. A giant black crow sat outside. Its eyes glowed red like burning coals. Tied to its leg was a silver ribbon holding a tiny note. Arun unfolded it carefully. It read, "Bring the moonlight. Come to Shadow Hollow. Come alone." Arun's hands trembled. His grandmother looked pale when she read the note. "You must not go, but what if someone needs help? What if it's a trap?" Arun looked at the moon outside, then at the glowing jars beside him. Finally, he whispered, "If darkness is spreading, someone has to stop it." The next evening, carrying a lantern and 3 moonlight jars, Arun began his journey toward Shadow Hollow. The deeper he walked, the quieter the world became. Soon, even the wind disappeared. The forest was terrifying. The trees twisted like giant claws. Fog curled along the ground. Strange whispers echoed between the trunks. Arun's lantern flickered nervously. Then he saw a castle. A gigantic black castle stood at the center of the forest. Its towers stretched high into the sky. Broken windows stared like empty eyes. Dark vines covered its walls, and sitting upon the cold stone steps was a girl. She looked about Arun's age. Her hair shimmered silver white under the moonlight. Her pale cloak fluttered softly in the wind. "You came," she said quietly. "Did you send the crow?" She nodded. "My name is Lyra. Why did you call me here?" Lyra looked sadly toward the castle. "Because the darkness is waking up again." She explained that long ago, Shadow Hollow had been filled with light and life. The castle once belonged to her family, but deep beneath the forest slept a creature called the Shadow King. For centuries, it remained trapped underground, until one terrible night, the prison cracked. Darkness poured into the forest. It consumed light. Flowers died. Animals fled. People abandoned the land. Only Lyra remained behind. "Why didn't you leave too?" Arun asked softly. Lyra looked at the dark castle, because someone had to guard the prison. Arun slowly opened one moonlight jar. Silver light filled the air. Lyra stared at it in amazement. "It's beautiful." For the first time in years, she smiled. But suddenly, the ground trembled violently. A deep roar echoed beneath the castle. The shadows around them began moving. Black smoke rose from cracks in the earth. The Shadow King was awakening. Huge shadow creatures crawled from the darkness. Their eyes glowed purple. Their bodies twisted like living smoke. Arun stepped back fearfully. Lyra shouted, "The moonlight, it weakens them." Quickly, Arun opened another jar. A burst of silver light exploded across the courtyard. The shadow creatures screamed. Wherever moonlight touched them, they vanished instantly. But more kept appearing. The castle shook harder. Cracks spread across the ground. Then, a gigantic shadow rose into the sky, the Shadow King. It towered above the castle like a living storm. Its voice echoed across the forest. "Light must die." Arun's legs shook, but he remembered the villagers. He remembered the frightened children during the storm. He remembered his grandmother's words, "Even the smallest light can defeat great darkness." Arun grabbed his final moonlight jar, but this one was different. It glowed brighter than all the others combined. The light inside swirled like an entire galaxy. "The first moon jar," Lyra whispered in shock. Arun looked confused. Lyra's eyes widened. "That jar contains pure moonlight." The Shadow King roared and rushed toward them. Arun took a deep breath. Then he lifted the jar high above his head and opened it. Woo! A gigantic wave of silver light burst into the sky. The entire forest glowed. The moon itself seemed brighter. The light crashed into the Shadow King. The creature screamed so loudly the mountains shook. Darkness shattered like glass. The shadow storm exploded into millions of tiny sparks before disappearing forever. Silence filled the forest. Then slowly, life returned. Grass spread across the ground. Flowers bloomed everywhere. The twisted trees straightened. Birds began singing. Warm wind flowed through the forest for the first time in centuries. Shadow Hollow was dark no more. Lyra stared around in tears. "We're free." Above them, the moon shone brighter than ever before, and suddenly tiny silver lights floated down from the sky. Hundreds of them, moon spirits. They danced around Arun and Lyra happily. One spirit touched Arun's forehead gently. A warm glow spread through him. Then the spirits disappeared into the night sky. From that day onward, the castle became filled with life again. Villagers slowly returned. Gardens bloomed around the towers. Children played in places once ruled by darkness. And every full moon, Arun and Lyra traveled together across distant lands carrying glowing moonlight jars. Whenever fear appeared, whenever sadness spread, whenever darkness returned, the Moonlight Keepers arrived, because they had learned something important. Darkness may seem powerful, but even the smallest light can change the world forever. The end